The crystal chandeliers cast golden shadows across the ballroom floor. Elena Hartwell stood at the edge of the crowd, emerald silk clinging to her frame, champagne glass trembling in her hand. Across the room, Ethan Grayson laughed with his circle of vultures, each one complicit in dismantling her father's company piece by piece. Hartwell Industries will be mine by month's end. Ethan's voice carried over the music. Sometimes the old guard needs to step aside. Heat flooded Elena's cheeks. She moved forward before thinking, her heels clicking against marble. Is that what you call hostile takeovers? Her voice cut through the laughter. Progress? Ethan turned, his smile sharp as glass. Miss Hartwell. How charming. Though business conversations tend to be complex for daughters who play dress-up at daddy's company. The words landed like slaps. Elena lifted her chin, refusing to flinch. A deep voice interrupted from behind her. I find it interesting, Grayson, that you built your empire on the ashes of better men. The crowd parted. Damen Blackwood stepped forward, all tailored power and controlled danger. His steel-gray eyes locked on Ethan, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Elena had heard the stories. The brilliant, ruthless CEO who turned dying companies into empires. The man with no heart and perfect instincts, Blackwood. Ethan's smile tightened. Still playing hero? Only when I see parasites feeding? Damen's gaze shifted to Elena, softening for a fraction of a second. Miss Hartwell, I believe your father and I need to talk. Join us. She studied him, torn between suspicion and desperate hope. Every instinct screamed not to trust him, but what choice did she have? Of course, Damen led her through the crowd, his hand barely touching her lower back. She felt Ethan's stare burning into her spine. The private lounge was all leather and shadows, her father already waiting, looking smaller than she'd ever seen him. I'll be direct, Damen said, settling into a chair. Grayson will take your company within weeks, unless you let me help. Charles's hands trembled. Why would you help us? Because I've seen what Grayson does. He's a predator, and I don't tolerate predators. Lena crossed her arms. What's the catch? Damen's eyes found hers, dark and unreadable. Full access to your company's records. Your trust. And your cooperation in taking him down? So you want control, Elena said coldly. How is that different? The difference, Miss Hartwell, is I don't destroy what I build. But make no mistake, if you want my help, you'll have to trust me. The silence stretched. Charles looked broken. Elena felt the weight of their survival pressing down on her chest. What's your plan? She finally asked. The men leaned forward, intensity radiating from him. Grayson's using illegal methods. Insider trading, blackmail. If we gather proof, we don't just stop him. We destroy him. And how do we do that? His gaze held hers. You go undercover. Get close to him. Use the fact that he underestimates you. Charles stood abruptly. Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. But Elena was already nodding, adrenaline replacing fear. I'll do it. Damen's lips curved slightly, something like respect flickering in his expression. Then we start tomorrow. But once we begin, there's no turning back. That night, Elena stood at her bedroom window, staring at the city lights. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. You're making a mistake trusting Blackwood. He's not who you think he is. Ask him about the fire. Ask him about your mother. Her blood turned to ice. The phone slipped from her fingers, clattering on the hardwood floor. What fire? Her mother had died in a car accident 15 years ago. Unless she hadn't. Elena burst into Damen's office without knocking. The anonymous text burned into her mind. Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows. He looked up from his desk, surprise flickering across his face before his mask of control returned. What fire? She threw her phone on his desk. What does this mean? What does my mother have to do with you? Damen went very still. His jaw tightened. For 3 long seconds, he said nothing. Where did you get that? Answer the question. He stood slowly, moving around the desk. Elena, there are things about your family you don't know. Stop. Her voice cracked. Stop talking in riddles. My mother died in a car accident when I was 12. What fire? Damen's eyes held genuine pain now. There was no car accident. The floor seemed to tilt beneath her. What? 15 years ago, there was a fire at one of your father's factories. 23 people died, including several women working night shifts. He paused, his voice dropping. Your mother was investigating the safety violations that caused it. She was going to expose your father. Elena stumbled backward. No, that's not true. The brakes on her car were cut the night before she planned to go public. I know because I was there. His words came faster now, raw. I was a junior investigator for the company hired to cover it up. Your father paid people to make it look like an accident. I tried to stop it. I failed. Tears burned Elena's eyes. You're lying. My father would never... I have the files, Elena. All of them. I've spent 15 years gathering evidence, building my company, waiting for the right moment to destroy everyone involved. He stepped closer, his voice breaking. Including your father. She slapped him, hard. The crack echoed in the silent office. Get away from me. Her whole body shook. This whole thing was about revenge. You were never helping us. You were using me to get close to him. It started that way, Damen admitted, not touching his reddening cheek. But then I met you. And everything became complicated. Don't. She backed toward the door. Don't you dare make this about feelings. You've been lying since the moment we met. I've been lying for 15 years, he said quietly. But what I feel for you isn't a lie. Elena laughed bitterly, tears streaming down her face. I don't even know you, and let me show you the truth. All of it. The files are in my safe. See for yourself what your father did. She wanted to run, to pretend she'd never heard any of this. But she'd spent her whole life living in the shadow of her mother's death, and now someone was offering her answers. Show me. Damen opened the safe, pulling out a thick folder. Inside were photographs, documents, testimony transcripts. Elena's hands trembled as she read. Worker complaints ignored. Safety violations buried. And there, her mother's signature on a draft press release that would have exposed it all. She whispered. But the evidence was undeniable. The last page was a police report. Vehicle tampering. Investigation closed due to lack of evidence. Your father didn't act alone, Damen said softly. Ethan Grayson's father was his business partner. They covered it up together. That's why Ethan's targeting your company now. He knows I'm getting close to the truth, and he wants to destroy any evidence before I can expose what they did. Elena looked up, her world shattered into pieces. Why didn't you just go to the police? I tried. 15 years ago, they buried it. Your father and Marcus Grayson owned half the city back then. So I spent every year since building something they couldn't ignore. Power, resources, proof. And I was just a convenient tool at first. He met her eyes, and the vulnerability there made her breath catch. But somewhere between your defiance and your courage, I stopped seeing you as Charles Hartwell's daughter. I started seeing you as the person I was doing this for. The person who deserved to know the truth. Elena's phone buzzed. Ethan's name flashed on the screen. Drinks tonight. I think we have much to discuss about your new business partner. She stared at the message, then at Damen, then at the files spread across his desk. Her father was a murderer. Damen had been lying to her, and Ethan knew something that could destroy them all. I'm still going through with it, she said, her voice hollow. Getting close to Ethan, finding his evidence. But not for you. For my mother. Damen nodded slowly. I understand. And when this is over, when we've taken them both down, I never want to see you again. Something in his expression crumbled. But he simply said, as you wish. Elena turned to leave, then stopped at the door without looking back. Did you love her? My mother. A long pause. She was the bravest person I ever met. She tried to save those people, even knowing what it would cost her. You're exactly like her. Elena left without another word. But that night, she couldn't stop replaying his broken voice. Couldn't ignore the way her traitorous heart still raced when she thought of him. She met Ethan at the bar. Wearing a smile that felt like shattered glass, the rooftop bar glittered with city lights. Elena forced herself to smile as Ethan poured her wine, his expression calculating beneath the charm. I'm glad you came, he said smoothly. I was beginning to think you'd chosen the wrong side. I'm here for business, Elena replied carefully. My family's business. Yes. Tell me, has Blackwood mentioned why he's really helping you? Ethan leaned back, studying her. Or are you still believing his hero act? Elena's stomach tightened, but she kept her voice steady. Enlighten me. Your mother didn't just die in that fire investigation, Elena. She and Damen Blackwood were having an affair. The words hit like ice water. That's a lie, is it? Ethan pulled out his phone, swiping through photos. These were taken 3 months before her death. Elena's hands went numb. The photos showed her mother and a younger Damen sitting in a cafe, his hand covering hers. Another of them leaving a hotel. The timestamps were clear. He was 22, Ethan continued, his voice almost gentle. She was 37, married, investigating a case that would have destroyed both our families. My father found out about the affair and used it as leverage. Told her if she went public, he'd expose everything. Ruin her marriage. Her reputation. Stop. Elena couldn't breathe. She chose her family over the truth, but Damen couldn't let it go. Some say he cut those brakes himself, trying to force her hand. Make it look like murder, so she'd have to testify. No. But doubt crept in like poison. Had Damen been in love with her mother? Was his connection to Elena just an echo of old obsession? Ethan's voice dropped. He's been using you from the start, Elena, playing on your need to save your father. But what he really wants is revenge for losing her. You're just a replacement. Elena stood abruptly, the room spinning. I need air, of course. Ethan smiled. Think about what I've said, and ask yourself, if Blackwood really cared about you, why didn't he tell you the whole truth? She barely made it to the elevator before the tears came. Her phone rang. Damen. Don't, she answered, her voice breaking. Don't call me, Elena. What happened? You were sleeping with my mother. Silence. Then, quiet and devastated, he told you, so it's true. The confirmation shattered something inside her. It's not what you think. Then what is it, Damen? Because right now, it looks like you've been using me as a replacement for the woman you couldn't save. Is that what I am to you? A second chance to be the hero? No. His voice cracked. Elena, please, let me explain. I'm done listening to your explanations. Every time you open your mouth, another lie falls out. She hung up and immediately called her father. He answered on the first ring. Dad, I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. Was Mom having an affair? Charles's sharp intake of breath told her everything. How did you find out? Elena's world collapsed completely. Oh God, you knew. You knew, and you let me believe it was just an accident. Sweetheart, it's complicated. Did you have her killed? No. His voice broke. I would never. I loved your mother, but she was going to destroy everything we built. I tried to talk to her, tried to make her understand. When she died, I thought maybe it was mercy. For all of us. Mercy. Elena laughed, hollow and cold. You think murder is mercy? I didn't kill her, but I didn't stop it either. And that's something I'll carry forever. Elena ended the call. She stood alone on the empty street, rain beginning to fall, surrounded by the ruins of everyone she'd ever trusted. Her phone buzzed again. Damen. Ethan's lying about some of it. Not all, but enough. Meet me, please. One last conversation. Then I'll walk away, if that's what you want. She stared at the message. Every instinct screamed not to trust him, but she'd learned tonight that her instincts meant nothing. The factory. Where it started. Midnight. The abandoned factory loomed against the night sky. Windows like dead eyes. Elena's heels echoed on cracked concrete as she walked inside. Damen waited in the center of the empty floor, papers scattered at his feet. Thank you for coming, he said quietly. Talk fast. I'm tired of lies. He took a breath. Yes, I knew your mother. Yes, we were close. But it wasn't an affair. She was my mentor, Elena. I was a kid who'd lost everything, working for a corrupt firm, and she saw something in me worth saving. She treated me like family. The photos. Staged. By Ethan's father. To discredit her if she went public. He picked up a document. I have the metadata. They were manipulated. The hotel photo? That was a legal conference. The cafe. We were meeting about the case. Lena wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. Why didn't you tell me this from the start? Because I've spent 15 years being the villain in my own story, hating myself for not saving her. When you looked at me like I was someone worth trusting, I couldn't bear to see that change. His voice broke. I was a coward. And what are you now? He stepped closer, his eyes holding hers. Someone who loves you enough to tell you the truth, even if it means losing you forever. Your father didn't kill your mother, but he knew Marcus Grayson did it, and he stayed silent. That makes him complicit. And Ethan. He's finishing what his father started. Destroying everyone who knows the truth. Damen held out a flash drive. Everything's on here. Proof of the original cover-up. Proof of Ethan's current crimes. Enough to take them both down. Lena reached for it, and their fingers touched. Electricity sparked between them. Come with me, she whispered. To the police? Tonight we end this together. Hope flickered in his eyes. You trust me? I trust that we both want justice. The gunshot shattered the moment. Damen's expression went from hope to shock to pain as blood bloomed across his white shirt. He collapsed and Elena screamed. Ethan emerged from the shadows. Gun in hand, I'm sorry, Elena, but you've become a liability. Elena dropped to her knees beside Damen. Pressing her hands against the wound, blood poured through her fingers, hot and terrifying. No, 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 she gasped. Damen, stay with me. His eyes found hers, glazed with pain. Run, I'm not leaving you. Ethan's footsteps echoed closer. How touching. The daughter and her mother's protege. It's almost poetic. Elena looked up, rage replacing terror. You killed her. Not my father. You. My father killed her, Ethan corrected, almost bored. I was 16, watching from the car while he cut the brake lines. He told me it was a lesson. That's what happens to people who threaten what's ours. You're insane. I'm practical. He raised the gun again. My father made one mistake. He left witnesses. People like Blackwood who've spent years gathering evidence. But I won't make the same error. Damen's hand closed around Elena's wrist weakly. The flash drive pressed into her palm. The files, he breathed. Cloud backup. Password is your mother's birthday. Shut up, Ethan snapped. You can't destroy the truth, Damen continued, his voice fading. It's already out there. Ethan's composure cracked. You're bluffing. Am I? Despite the blood loss, Damen smiled. Check your stock price. Check the news. My assistant had instructions. If I didn't check in by midnight, everything goes public. Elena's heart hammered as she understood. This was the plan all along. Damen had used himself as bait, knowing Ethan would come. He'd sacrificed himself to protect the evidence. To protect her, Ethan's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went white. No, no. It's over, Damen whispered. Sirens wailed in the distance. Ethan looked between them, calculation warring with panic. Then he raised the gun toward Elena. If I'm going down, so is the last Hartwell. Time slowed. Elena saw Ethan's finger tighten on the trigger, saw Damen's eyes widen in horror. Then Damen lunged, using the last of his strength to knock her aside. The second gunshot was deafening. Dam fell. This time he didn't get up. Damen. Elena screamed, crawling to him. Blood everywhere, soaking into concrete. His breathing shallow and rattling. Elena, he managed, his hand finding her face. I'm sorry. For everything. For lying. For not being the man you deserved. Stop. Don't you dare. Her tears blinded her. The ambulance is coming. You're going to be fine. We both know that's not true.
Hey!
His thumb brushed her cheek. But I need you to know. Meeting you wasn't about revenge. It was about remembering what it felt like to be human again. I love you. The words tore from her chest. Do you hear me? I love you, and you don't get to leave me. His eyes softened, a small smile touching his lips. There it is. The only truth that ever mattered. Ethan's footsteps retreated, running for the exit. Elena didn't care. Nothing mattered except the man dying in her arms. Stay with me, she begged.
Please.
I can't lose you too. You won't. His breathing grew more labored. I'll always be with you. In every fight, every choice, every moment you refuse to let them win. Red and blue lights flooded the building. Voices shouted. Hands tried to pull her away from Damen, but she fought them, clinging to him. Ma'am, we need to help him. Don't let him die, she sobbed as they finally pried her away. Please don't let him die. Paramedics swarmed Damen's body. Elena watched numb as they worked frantically. One of them shook his head. The world stopped. Then, impossibly, we've got a pulse. It's weak, but he's fighting. Hope crashed through her like a wave. Elena's legs gave out. An officer caught her, supporting her weight as they loaded Damen into the ambulance. Are you family? The paramedic asked. Yes. The lie came automatically. Yes, I'm his fiancée. They let her climb in. She held Damen's hand as the ambulance screamed through the city, monitors beeping erratically, his grip impossibly weak but present. I'm here, she whispered. I'm right here.
Hours later.
Elena sat in a sterile hospital corridor. Blood still dried on her hands and dress. A detective had taken her statement. Ethan had been caught trying to flee the country. The evidence had gone viral, news outlets everywhere running the story of corporate corruption spanning 15 years. Charles Hartwell was in custody. Her father, the man who'd raised her, would let her mother die, and said nothing. Elena felt nothing. A surgeon emerged, pulling off his mask. Miss Hartwell, she stood on shaking legs. Is he alive? He's alive. Critical, but stable. The next 48 hours will tell us everything. The surgeon hesitated. He's asking for you. Elena followed him to ICU. Damen lay connected to machines, his skin pale against white sheets. But his eyes opened when she entered, clear despite the pain medication. You're supposed to be resting, she said, trying to smile through tears. Couldn't rest. Not until I knew you were safe. His voice was barely audible. She took his hand carefully, mindful of the 4 lines. You could have died. Worth it. Don't say that. Fresh tears spilled. Nothing is worth your life. You are. His fingers tightened around hers. You're worth everything. Elena leaned down, pressing her forehead to his. When you're better, we're having a serious conversation about your self-sacrificing tendencies. Looking forward to it? He managed a weak smile. Does this mean you're not sending me away? You're an idiot if you think I'd let you go now. She kissed him softly, tasting salt and promises. You're stuck with me, Blackwood. Best news I've heard all night. The monitors beeped steadily. Outside, dawn broke over the city. And for the first time in 15 years, the truth was finally free. 6 months later, Elena stood in front of the rebuilt factory. A memorial to the 23 people who died there. Her mother's name was carved in marble alongside the others. Justice had been slow but thorough. Ethan Grayson was serving life without parole for murder and attempted murder. Her father had taken a plea deal, 15 years for accessory after the fact, and obstruction of justice. Elena had visited him once in prison. He'd cried. She'd listened. They'd both understood that some fractures never fully heal, but forgiveness was a choice made daily, not once. You ready? Damen's voice came from behind her. She turned. He still moved carefully, his recovery incomplete but steady. The scars would fade with time, the doctors said. Some scars ran deeper than flesh. I am. She took his offered hand.
Thank you for coming with me.
Always. He studied her face. How are you feeling? Complicated. My mother died fighting for the truth. My father spent 15 years running from it. And I'm somewhere in between, trying to figure out who I am without their shadows. You're Elena Hartwell, Damen said softly. The woman who refused to look away when it would have been easier. The woman who chose justice over comfort. You're exactly who your mother hoped you'd be. Tears pricked her eyes. I wish I could have known her. Really known her? You do know her. Every time you stand up for what's right, even when it costs you. Every time you choose the hard truth over the easy lie, he squeezed her hand. She's in every part of you. Elena leaned into him, letting his strength steady her. What about us? Ow. Are we just complicated too? Incredibly complicated.
Ow.
His smile was soft. Built on lies and revenge and all the wrong reasons, but somehow we found something real in all that darkness. He turned her to face him. I won't pretend our beginning wasn't broken. I won't pretend I didn't use you, at least at first. That guilt is mine to carry. We both made choices, Elena interrupted. I stayed when I knew you were lying. I let myself fall for you even when I shouldn't have. We're both responsible for what we became, and what did we become? She considered this, looking into his storm-gray eyes. Two people who learned that love isn't about perfect beginnings, it's about choosing each other every day, even when it's hard. Damen cupped her face gently. I choose you, Elena, every single day, for as long as you'll have me. Even though I'm going to testify against my own father, especially because of that. His voice held quiet pride. You're not protecting him. You're protecting the truth. That's who you are. And Hartwell Industries. Company had survived, barely, but restructuring had been brutal. We'll rebuild it the right way. Transparent. Ethical. A company your mother would have been proud of. He paused. But only if that's what you want. You don't have to carry that weight. Elena thought about walking away, selling the company. Starting fresh somewhere far from all this pain. It would be easier, but her mother hadn't chosen easy. She'd chosen right. I want to rebuild it, Elena said firmly. Make it stand for something real. No more shadows. No more secrets. Then that's what we'll do. Together. She kissed him then. Slow and deep, tasting forgiveness and promise, and the complicated truth of who they were. Not perfect, not simple, but real. When they pulled apart, Elena noticed an envelope tucked into the memorial's base. Her name was written in unfamiliar handwriting. What is that? Damen asked as she picked it up. I don't know. Inside was a letter dated 2 weeks before her mother's death. The handwriting was elegant, unmistakably her mother's. My dearest Elena, it began. If you're reading this, then I'm gone, and you're old enough to understand why I made the choices I made. I'm about to expose something terrible, and I know the risks. But some truths are worth dying for, because they free everyone who comes after. You're so young now, but I see such strength in you, such fire. Don't ever let them extinguish that. Don't ever choose comfort over conscience. And if you find love, choose someone who makes you braver, not smaller. Someone who sees your scars and loves you more for them. Live the life I couldn't, sweetheart. Live it loud and fearless and true. All my love, Mom. Elena's hands trembled. Tears streamed freely down her face. She knew, she whispered. She knew what would happen, and she did it anyway. Damen pulled her close, his own eyes wet. She gave you the blueprint. How to live, how to love, how to be brave. Elena looked at the memorial, at her mother's name carved in stone, at the man beside her, scarred but standing, at the city beyond, full of new mornings and second chances. I'm going to make her proud, she said, conviction ringing in every word. You already have. They stood there as the sun climbed higher. Two broken people made whole by truth and time, and the complicated, messy, beautiful thing called love. The past couldn't be changed. The pain couldn't be erased. But the future was theirs too, right? And Elena Hartwell, daughter of shadows, keeper of truth, was ready to begin the end.